Hello, everyone. By now, you've probably all heard the very, very sad and troubling story about George Floyd, the man in Minneapolis, Minnesota, who was killed by four cowards. That's right, cowards. They were not police officers, they were cowards, they were racist, they were murderers. These men abused their power and took someone's life. This man was defenseless. This man was unarmed. This man showed no restraints. All he wanted to do was get in his car. Sorry, I just need a moment. All the man did was get in his car. He was accused, his crime, being accused of having a phony $20 bill. Phony $20 bill. There's no evidence at all that he made counterfeit money. It happens from time to time. You're going to get a bad bill here and there. But the convenience store owner, or one of the people there from Cup Foods, called the police. Okay, that's fine. Then the two officers came, Koenig and Lane. Lane pulled the gun out, took him out, handcuffed him, no restraint. Then they brought him over to their car. And then here came Tao and Chauvin. Tao already had a couple of accusations against him. He hurt someone pretty badly. And Chauvin, like 19, 18 years on the job. His wife, Tao's brother, and Chauvin killed 3 unarmed minorities and killed one of them. So they bring him in the car, and then when he's in there, gets a little antsy, slightly. Then Koenig ruffles him up, and then Chauvin decides to pull him out of the car and throw him on the ground, face down. His nose is bleeding. Lane holds his legs. Koenig holds down his back, and then Chauvin puts all of his weight from his knees on his neck, and Tao just stood there and did nothing. He was held there for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't be helped, despite the pleas of the people watching, demanding that Tao go check his post and do something. All he did, when he cried for help, cried for his mother, they did nothing. The only one who showed any sense of trying to help was Lane. And even then, he just asked if he can move him on the side. And then Chauvin said no. So he kept applying pressure to his neck. Motionless. He couldn't breathe. The man couldn't breathe. And then he laid unconscious. He kept his knee on there for another 3 minutes. People tried to help, but he threatened to mace them. And even when the paramedics came, he kept his knee on there. And the only time he got his legs off is when the paramedics wanted him, and they just dragged him on the street over there. When they couldn't help him, he was unresponsive. So they also called the fire department. They could have helped, but they couldn't because the monsters that the police officers were misdirected them. He's in cardiac arrest. He's dead. All the man needed to do to still be alive today was to breathe. And Chauvin, Tal, Koenig, and Lane didn't do that to him. They decided that it would be best to make sure that he wouldn't be breathing anymore. Chauvin especially, with the cameras on him doing this monstrous deed, he continues to lay his knee on Floyd's motionless neck. I'm happy the Minneapolis Police Department fired all 4 of them. But why in blue hell? Why would you wait 4 days before you would arrest Chauvin? A man who knew what he was doing on camera and continued to do it. He told Floyd to get in the car when his knee was pinned against his neck on the pavement. And you only give him a 3rd-degree murder charge? He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. His knee was on his neck for 3 minutes after he stopped breathing. When the cameras were on, he knew. He knew what he was doing. This was intentional. He knew everything he was doing. And only 25 years max? There are instances where an unarmed African American stole $9 and he got 30 years in prison. There have been times where an African American sold some marijuana, which is now legal in a lot of states, and they're still behind bars for several decades later. The country has a disproportionate amount of poor, young, or even old African Americans or other minorities. And they're still in prison longer than how long Chauvin could stay behind bars for taking someone's life intentionally. And as for the other 3, Tal, Koenig, and Lane, why aren't they arrested yet? They're accomplices, and the autopsy even shows not the one by the state, because that's rubbish. That's complete BS, because the independent study that shows exactly what we all saw. He died due to the compression against his neck and his back. He was killed by the officers. That would definitely have a lot of punishment against Koenig. I mean, not as much as Chauvin, but still a lot. Lane, I think, might get away with a little bit, but he's had a lot of pressure on his legs, but against his back, his lungs, he could not expand his lungs. And Tal never checked his pulse. And you're still not going to arrest him? To the city of Minneapolis, how dare you? How dare you do this to this man's family? His children, his girlfriend, his brothers, his sister, his cousins, everyone. And you decide that you're still not going to arrest those 3 other men? I mean, yeah, you got Chauvin. You got the worst of the bunch. But the 3 other ones are accomplices. They're all complicit. They all knew what Chauvin was doing. And instead of stopping, they kept going. They kept applying pressure. They kept being ignorant to what the public were demanding. Broad daylight. Everyone watching. They didn't care. They did not care about any of this stuff. And so, what happened? Everything happened. Everything just fell apart at the seams. And I want to tell you guys a bit about myself. But, my God, George Floyd, R.I.P. Stay tuned. I'm gonna give my own